This Malayalam film nailed everything you want from a cinematic universe. Just epic. Malayalam cinema has done it again. Nothing like this exists in Indian cinema. Let's talk about it. Hello guys, I'm Nona Prince and my first Onam release of the week was Lokah Chapter 1 Chandra, written and directed by Dominic Arun. This is a Malayalam language superhero film produced by Dulquer Salman under his banner Wayfarer Films, and this is the first film in the Wayfarer cinematic universe. And they delivered on everything. Like everything you could imagine, everything you would want from a cinematic universe, they delivered. Like I don't even remember last time I was so satisfied after watching a film. I was like a kid sitting in the theater in awe of what I'm watching on screen. I love fantasy genre, I love world building, and the way this film works on it, it's just outstanding. The way the film starts, you are dropped right into the action, and then you get this animated title sequence, which is basically the lore of this universe, and they literally show you a vast history of it, and there's no explanation, there's no one telling you what's happening. You have no idea what you're watching. It's just these paintings. And if you look closer at the faces, you may recognize the actors also. But that just shows you the potential of this world. The work they have put in to establish a whole lore. And that makes this world so believable. The production value, the costumes, the weapons, the sets they have designed. They have put in all the effort. And the potential is limitless. And all of this world building is woven in so seamlessly to the narrative. There are so many hints which are sprinkled around the running time, which makes you feel that all of this is part of a bigger machinery. In Indian cinema, this film is a masterclass on how to do world building. And the biggest point is all of it never comes in the way of telling a story. The narrative of this film is so focused. They are setting up the world, the films to come. But this film is about this one character. And we get to know more about them. We get their backstory. The story is revolving around the protagonist. And at no point it feels like spoon feeding. There are a lot of hints given to you as an audience, and it's on us to decipher them. Screenplay wise, they get the basics right. How to set up the world, how to set up the characters, how to get us audience introduced to them. And if you have seen enough Western films, there are a lot of inspirations. And it never feels copied. They have made all of it their own. They have inverted a lot of tropes of this genre. And there are no big exposition dumps happening. Nothing is over-explained. And yet the film is easy to follow. They just strike the right balance of giving us information and keeping us hooked. Whenever there are films which are setting up a whole universe, the biggest problem they face is they rush too fast. They just try to do too much. They just want to go big right at the start. I feel that was one of the biggest problems with Brahmastra. To sell the world, they just went all out with the first film. And Lokah Chapter 1 doesn't do any of that. They take their time with this narrative. They don't get distracted by other things. Lokah makes you care for these characters, care for this world. And they leave a lot of breadcrumbs. They leave a lot of unanswered questions, which makes the audience want to know more. I want to get back to this universe again. I cannot wait for it. But still, by the end, our story feels complete. That is also where a lot of films go wrong, but not this one. Now, this film is so clever with its execution. They didn't spend 100-200 crores on this. The rumor is that the budget was just 30 crores. And you will never believe that when you look at this film. There have been films with a budget of 200 to 300 crores which look nothing like this. They've gone with a different visual palette. It's very neo-noir. They didn't go with the cinematic aspect ratio, but more like 16:9. The use of neon lights is very obvious. It gives it that sci-fi element to it. The sound design and the editing is top-notch. Like there are so many cool transitions and effects they have used. And there are so many humor bits which they've created using the camera work and editing. You know, the quick pan and tilt, and especially the editing in the interval block. It is actually a very tough sequence to pull off. We're jumping between 3 different sequences, and the flow of it is so well done. The visual effects I said in the trailer also, if you pause and zoom in, you will find the issues, but when you see it in motion as you're supposed to, it looks really good. And they have been smart here. They've shot most of the sequences in the night. You can hide a lot of things. They've been really practical on where to use the VFX, how to shoot it, how to hide and make it seamless. That's the whole point of visual effects. You don't need to show it off. You need to hide, so it becomes more convincing. Talking about the action set pieces, so good. They come at equal intervals, and there's a range of degree in the action scenes. All of them are not the same level, but there's enough to keep you engaged. So the implementation of them in the screenplay is really well done. The music in the film, it works so well. J.X. Bijoy creates that mood for this world. See, it's not all a perfect and flawless film. There are certain moments which I thought could have been pulled off better. My one big issue was the main villain in the film. I totally understand what they were trying to do, but I felt the performance of the actor, nothing against him, but the way he was performing, it felt like he knows which world he is in, as if he's aware he's the villain and he's acting like that, whereas everyone else felt more grounded. Maybe it's a choice that didn't work for me particularly. Now with the climax, I'm not really a fan of going too big at the end, which this film tries to do. I feel an intimate climax would have worked better, particularly for this film. I'm sure in the later films there'll be big action climatic moments, but again, all of these things are just small nitpicking. And for Malayalam cinema, this film is a bit exaggerated. There's a lot of slow motion used, especially for the villain. By the way, I loved the background music for him. But even being a world with fantasy fantasy elements, they still try to make it grounded. Like the way we see the young characters exploring the city, enjoying, partying. It is done very authentically. At no point it felt superficial, which most films in this genre would do because it's a fantasy world, who cares? They let the realism go. And because this film keeps it grounded, there are real stakes. Yes, there are superpowers, big super villains, and a lot of things going on, but still for common people, they face real issues. A girl being stalked or a policeman misusing his power, a girl being mistreated, the corruption in the system, real crimes happening, the misogyny. All of these things are part of our reality. And because all of this is part of the film also, it makes it grounded. It makes it a world with depth. Coming to the cast, Kalyani Priyadarshan just kicked ass and she carried the film. She does a great job on establishing the character of Chandra, and by the end it makes you wanting more. And it's a really hard role because she doesn't have to emote. She needs to have that blank expression at every point. And when that breaks, it becomes more fun to watch. Naslin and the two friends, they just fit the role really well. They are supposed to be us, our representation in the film, representing the common man figuring out this world just like us. Now there are a lot of big cameos which I'm not gonna spoil it, but the way they are designed, the way they are included, it's really well done. They never take away from the film. The focus doesn't get shifted. They have enough of a presence that makes sense why they are there, and they leave an impression for you to wonder about them and look forward to when they will come next. And all of it was part of the world building they were doing. The implementation was flawless. And there were two post-credit scenes. Wait till the end, just like a Marvel movie. And I love that at the end, it kind of gives you a text just like how Marvel film does, that the character will return. It felt like it is by someone who is a nerd, who's a geek, who has grown up on Marvel films and who wants to create their own universe just like that. Of course, with their own touch, with their own story. And watching the film, you can tell that they care. They've put in the effort, the passion to create this world. And I hope it finds the audience, because if it works, the sky is the limit. Finally, in India, we have such a well-made fantasy world with so much potential that I cannot wait to go back into it for another adventure. We will be talking about this film for a long time. But to know my thoughts on the other Onam releases, check out the reviews here. Let me know your thoughts about it in the comments below, and I will see you next time.